All right.
Where do you go to high school? That's right.
All right, everyone, welcome to our Richmond Parents Meeting for USHSD. We just finished a much larger meeting in Northern Virginia yesterday. What was it, like 25 families, 26 families? So that was for both HSD and USHSD. So as you can see, this meeting is going to be a little more low-key, more personal, casual. We get to sit down. So before we get started, we can just do some introductions. And I'll hand it over to Shannon, our counselor director this year.
Yes, I've met, I think, all of you guys in interviews, but I'm Shannon Markland, and I'm the counselor director this year. And I'm pretty jealous of you guys because I went to USHSD last year. So just get ready for a great 3 weeks. And yeah, I'll be at Princeton. So hopefully.
All right. So hopefully you guys all know me. I'm Jeannie. I'm the program manager for USHSD this year. I just graduated from NYU majoring in History and East Asian Studies, and I'll be teaching in Korea right after I get back from Japan. So 2 flights for me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. Again, both of us, we were in both programs last year, so I think all of you ran into us at some point. I was in J2 counselor this year, and this year I'll be the USHSD counselor. So really excited to go to Japan with you guys in a little over 1 month now. I'm a rising junior at Princeton. I'm studying public international affairs with a concentration in East Asia. So can't wait to get on that plane.
And I'm Kristen Parrott. I'm the American director, in case I haven't met and talked with any of you before, but I think I've met everybody. This is my 8th year as the director, and we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this summer for HSD. So it's a milestone. And in case you were wondering, we're video recording the meeting so that we can post the video on YouTube so that people who are living in other parts of the U.S. can see what happened and answer questions by listening to what your questions are and that kind of thing. So bear with us with the video.
It's our first year doing this, so.
And you guys aren't in the picture, so don't worry.
I'm pretty sure that you're all familiar with the rules because they're very similar to the ones we had at Princeton. But just to reiterate, some are obvious and some are a little less obvious. But the most obvious ones are, of course, there's absolutely no consumption or possession of alcohol, tobacco, or any illegal substances allowed while participating on the program, including the orientation. And should an unfortunate occurrence happen, you would be sent home at your own expense, even from Japan. So just keep that in mind, please. The legal drinking age is 20 in Japan, and we expect all of the students on the program to abide by that. Cell phones, again, we ask that you keep those at home. The conference center and the different hotels you'll be visiting while you're in Japan, you're not permitted to leave those properties without explicit consent from the counselors. So please stay with the group at all times. You're also not allowed to deviate from the schedule of the program. So you would not be allowed to take a different flight to get to Japan or a different flight home. You're expected to travel to and from Japan with the rest of the group. Of course, you're to conduct yourselves as diplomats while in the program, which includes refraining from the use of profanity or any kind of terms that might offend or insult other members of the program. And lastly, because this is a little different than when you were at Princeton, you're not permitted under any circumstances to drive a motor vehicle while you're in Japan. You will have a homestay opportunity, and should your host family offer, you are to decline the offer of driving a motor vehicle while in Japan. They drive on the other side of the road there, and sometimes, anyway. So just to alleviate any concerns at all, that's just one of our rules, and we're very, very, we stick to it. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
And again, we know you guys from last year. You guys are good kids. We don't anticipate there being any rule breakers in this group. Ben. But really, guys, these rules, if we all stick to them, we all follow them, the program will be that much better. And we would hate, everyone in the program would hate to have one of our students sent home. It would be a tragedy for your family and for you to have to fly home early on the trip. But also, take a step back and think about the nature of this program. You know, it ends in a 10-day exchange program. You have a roommate just like at Princeton. If you were to be sent home, your roommate's experience would be ruined too. So it's not only reckless, it's selfish to break any of the rules. But enough about that. Let's turn 2 pages and talk about our emergency action plans. Safety is always number one for HSD staff, but this year especially, we want to underscore how important safety has become as a consideration, for us going to Japan. So, as general program-wide things are, first aid and CPR certification for all staff. As you guys checked when you came in, we've got all of our students' allergies and medications. We carry first aid kits for minor bumps and bruises on the program: Band-Aids, aspirin, thermometers, Pepto-Bismol. We have cell phones so we can get in contact with the appropriate authorities or the hospitals if we're in Japan. And we have addresses for all those hospitals as well. We also will be traveling not only with me and Jeannie in Japan, but with a full Japanese staff. So at minimum, 2 Japanese counselors as well as a Japanese director. So kind of the Japanese parallel of Mrs. Parrott here in America. So we will have people who know exactly what they're doing should an emergency situation arise.
And so then if you'll just flip quickly to the next page, it's the emergency phone tree. You should be familiar with it from last year. So you just start at the top, work your way down. And in addition to the emergency phone tree, this year we have started a USHSD blog. In the event that there is a disaster or an incident and phone lines don't work, we will be uploading onto that blog, our status, any updates. So we encourage all the parents to subscribe to this blog so that you can get an email alert saying that we've added a new post. So it'll just be another avenue for us to contact you and give you information.
And we want to also, especially this year, emphasize certain changes that have been made to the program in response to certain changes going on in Japan. As you guys are all aware, there was a catastrophic earthquake earlier this year, in addition to a compromised nuclear reactor. If you turn to page 9 of your packet, you'll find a map of Japan. That'll be helpful throughout the meeting tonight. You can reference. So we do a tour throughout a lot of Japan. Every year, the tour changes a little bit. This year especially, though, we've kind of shifted the program to the west. And that, again, is reflecting our concern for student safety. Our Japanese staff has been working tirelessly to make sure you guys have an awesome program this year, but most importantly, to make sure that you guys are safe, to make sure that there's no risk to you guys, to any of us involved in the program while we're touring Japan. So the biggest change that's happened this year is to the 10-day exchange program at the end of the program. That typically had been held, if you see Tokyo there, a little to the northeast. It's actually been relocated this year to the Kyoto prefecture, so about a couple hundred miles there to the west. So, for the majority of this program, we will be over 350 miles from Fukushima Daiichi. So, well beyond even the wildest precautionary announcements. And we also want to underscore that the United States State Department has issued a travel advisory, updated their travel advisory, and at no point throughout our tour will we be going anywhere within the warning zones. So there's really no need for you guys to be worried about radiation or nuclear scares or anything like that. In a worst-case scenario, even if that plant were to explode, we would be so far removed from it, there would be no impact virtually at all. And just to further reassure you guys, if you see the Japan here, the plant's right there. Any fallout that would go up would be blown the opposite direction because the wind current actually goes up to the northeast there, so it would be blown out into the Pacific Ocean, and Alaska would have more to worry about than we would in Kyoto. So that, in addition to the blog, are 2 new things we've implemented this year, reflecting that increased concern about student safety. And we also want to let you know, we're not going to be using a blog if there's an emergency with a particular student. Let's say that they injure themselves on tour. We would, of course, contact the parents individually and let them know. But we just want you to know that, in addition to program updates on a daily basis, photos from the temples we visit or pictures of the food we eat, we'll also be using that in case of an emergency to get you guys updated immediately in case phone lines were down. So, finishing up our emergency action plan there, we have our drills.
Oh, yeah. So in addition to all the safety measurements we've made, the Japanese staff have also mapped out all the different tour areas that we're going to, including our seminar areas. And so they have set locations, just safety zones. It's on higher ground, and the Japanese staff are all very well versed in the drills and how to go about moving everyone to a safe area. So they have that plan as well.
And to kind of illuminate that process, I just came back from studying abroad in Japan, and how it works is they have the country kind of split up into grids, and wherever you'll go, there'll be a grid. And for each of those grids, there's a designated safety spot that's safe from tsunami and that's safe from, earthquake, doesn't have any structures that could fall and hurt us if we're there. So, for example, where my university was, we were right next to an old imperial compound. And so it was on higher ground, it was reinforced, sturdy trees around us, and we were within a 3-minute walk. So at the exchange center, like Jeannie said, we'll be 3 minutes, I think, from an elementary school built on a hill. So we can get there, no risk of tsunami. Kyoto's a landlocked prefecture, so really we should be completely safe from even a worst-case scenario, natural disaster while in Japan. And again, the Japanese staff is familiar with this. Jeannie and I have both studied the Japanese language. We've worked closely with the Japanese staff. We don't anticipate there being any problems in terms of safety.
So we have nice tables for you to see clearly all the outgoing flights and the inbound flights. We will be leaving the U.S. on Tuesday, July 19th from Reagan National, and we will have a layover in Chicago, but after that we'll be heading straight to Tokyo. On our return flight, we'll be leaving Wednesday, August 10th. We'll have a layover in Dallas, Texas, and then we'll head on back to Reagan National. And so just please make sure that you have all the times and the flight numbers right in case you want to check the flight status online, and also so that when you pick up your son or daughter that you are at the airport on time.
Can I just add something really quick?
Yeah.
Because the outbound flight to Japan occurs after the one-night orientation, the overnight orientation, and you won't have been with your son and daughter for about a day because you'll drop them off at the orientation. After all of the USHSD students and Tom and Jeannie are aboard the plane, the rest of the HSD staff who are left behind will call and tell you orientation went well, that they got everything done, everything was great, and they're off on their way safely. So you'll be getting a call from us after they take off.
So just make sure you have all the numbers straight and that you arrive for orientation on July 18th, so the day before our flight. Also, since we're taking the American Airlines, if you haven't already, they have a free mileage program. I think it's
A Advantage. Mm-hmm.
So, just
It's a
this
long
one flight
flight.
is like thousands of miles. So if you are interested in collecting all those miles, you can just sign up online. I think you just need to give them an email address. It's very simple, and it could come in handy later when you need to fly somewhere. So if you are interested in that, just please let us know what your number is, and then we can just put that into the system.
And if even if you set the program up or the account up after the trip, you can still, if you have that itinerary, have the miles added on. And yeah, you'll be able to pick up a nice lump of miles there. And if you ever fly American Airlines again, you could get a free trip. So definitely something you guys should check out there. One thing to keep in mind is that there is a 13-hour time difference between here and Japan. So just when you're looking at times for flights, keep that in mind. If it says 8 o'clock a.m. in Tokyo, Japan, it's not anywhere near 8 o'clock a.m. in America. And they are about a day ahead. So going there, we'll kind of lose a day, but then coming back, it'll, if you look at a clock, seem like only 2 hours have happened when really it's like a 13-hour flight. So this information is just purely that information for you guys. Because we'll be staying at each of these destinations so briefly, it won't be possible to send mail to the students at the program anytime during the program. It's a variable amount of days that it takes to deliver it, and when we're only there for three days at each of these locations maximum, 4 days maybe, it just doesn't make sense to have mail sent there. So this information is just for you guys, so you guys know where your sons and daughters will be, and so you guys know where the hotels will be staying at. Trust me, the hotels are very nice. Very, very nice hotels. Some of them will be, in a Western sense, a hotel just like you're used to. But others will be in the traditional Japanese style. So what that means is like tatami mats, and you guys will be in a room, and you'll pull out your futon beds, set those up at night, and then fold them back. the next day. So it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And our exchange program.
Oh yeah. So this year you guys get an upgrade with the exchange program. In previous years when we were located closer to Tokyo, we just stayed at a regular convention center. It was still very nice, but this year, since we have moved to Kyoto, you guys get to stay at two different locations. They're both in the traditional Japanese inn style. So again, you'll have, really nice decor, and you guys can wear your robes around. So it's just an extra highlight and bonus to your trip to Japan.
Yeah, it's very cool. I was living in Kyoto last semester, and it's often referred to as the most beautiful prefecture in Japan. Mountains everywhere, trees, greenery, temples all over the place. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're excited.
Yeah.
We're jealous.
And then just so you know, one change this year is that we'll actually be spending the last day of the program back in the Narita, that's the airport hotel, before we take off, because we have to fly out of Tokyo, and again, we'll be staying in Kansai. We do have one change to our program this year, but it's still, as you turn to the next page, you'll see going to be an action-packed trip for you guys.
So the next page has the full itinerary of our time in Japan. You'll see that the first couple of days are tour and homestay. You'll have a homestay again for 3 days. You all probably will just go off to your separate families. They normally have one student per family. But in the past, some families have lived kind of close together, so I know they've had gatherings with multiple students. So yeah, this is just for your information to see, the different locations we're going, and just get excited for the trip.
Yeah, guys, this, like I said, the Japanese staff works really hard every year to put together an amazing trip for you, and this really is something, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in every sense of the expression. You'd never be able to go to Japan and do some of the things we're going to do. And this isn't even everything. This is just what we collapsed onto a one-page itinerary. But, we visit with members of the National Diet, which is like their version of Congress. We may be visiting the Minister of Foreign Affairs this year, the Mayor of Hiroshima. So some really awesome visits and, things that you're going to take with you and you're going to remember 4 years down the road. Believe me and Jeannie still do. Shannon still does. Kristen still remembers her HSD experience. These are impactful. So get excited about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about the tour, right, this itinerary here, you can ask them now. But a little uncertainty, I think, will help build that anticipation. Just look forward to an awesome trip. It's going to be unforgettable. So the next page is just that map that we told you about earlier. We know not everyone has been looking at a Japanese map for the past 8 years of their primary and secondary education like they have with the United States. So it helps to kind of reference that to get to know some of the cities. Again, we have the Kansai region blown up there because that's basically where we'll be staying. And most of the cities we'll be seeing and the sites we'll be seeing are in that region. It's pretty cool. The food is excellent. The scenery is great.
You guys should all be familiar and experts now at making informative presentations. We have all the deadlines listed at the bottom. The first deadline that's coming up is June 14th. So make sure that you are communicating with your other group members and brainstorming ideas. And this year in particular, make sure that your contact person or your group leader has all this information so that they can email us on the due date. We asked students to do this just because it's hard to keep track of several emails coming in from all the different students. So make sure you have everything organized and keep everyone updated in your group.
Yeah, it looks like 3 of you are actually the contact people, and because that's new this year, we just want to kind of illuminate what that means. You're in no sense like a leader in that you have more responsibility here. We really just want you to be the one, when you're working with all your group members, to kind of condense that into an email and send it to the staff member. But we expect everyone in the group to contribute equally in terms of their work.
We'll also be in touch with each individual member as well to just help out with their particular part. So we won't be ignoring like everyone else in the group.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so on the next page there, we've got more information about those presentation topics specifically and some suggestions. Guys, it's no secret that every year the Japanese presentations blow ours out of the water. So we want this year you guys to work really hard. You guys, have your HSD Princeton experience under your belts now. Put together some awesome presentations. Make them exciting, make them interesting, make them interactive. Most importantly, make them your own. The more you can bring in, your own experience and reflect, how what you're talking about in school life, for example, matters in your own life, the more interesting that'll be to your Japanese roommates. And one thing that kind of separates the exchange program in Japan from the Princeton program is a kind of intellectual and more academic attitude and philosophy underlying the program. So oftentimes, these presentations can really become the foundation for a dialogue that continues throughout the program, not only during program activities, but at night when you're talking to your roommates in your rooms. You'll have a lot more, seminar discussions, a lot more discussion-oriented activities during your stay at the Kansai Seminar House in Nanrimbo. So use these presentations as a way to have those discussions that will matter a lot to you in Japan, and discussions that you'll carry with you back to the United States. So there's a lot of information here. You guys have all been, what your presentation groups are, right? Okay.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. We've been in touch with you about that. You can reference this as you guys prepare. And you remember, it's kind of a tricky, you want to give a good overview of whatever your topic is, but you also don't want to overwhelm the Japanese students with too much information. So try to, once each of your group members kind of picks what they want to present about, focus in on that and refine it and make it good, make it meaningful, make it exciting for the Japanese students. I know you guys are going to do a great job with these.
Also, make sure that you have all of your presentations completed by the time you arrive at orientation. We won't have that much time in Japan for you guys to work on it, so you really need to bring the finished product with you by the time you come to orientation.
Because?
Because we will be judging your presentations. You'll be presenting in front of the counselors, and we'll critique it and give you some feedback, so you'll have some time during orientation to make some improvements. But if you are planning on making a video or have visuals, all of that should be finished by the time you come to orientation.
It's the American Idol of presentations.
Yeah. And I know we also offer the added incentive of whoever has the best presentation will get to present it at Senri High School, and we'll get a special prize from the two of us. Could be a pat on the back. You never know what it could be.
Yet to be determined. But yeah, keep those presentations in mind, guys. It's one of the few things we do ask from you to give back to a program that's giving a lot to you guys. So on the next page there, we have some helpful hints there. You guys can read those on your own time. You guys are pros at this. You've done it all before. And turning the page, we move on to another new thing this year, which is tour education research. So you guys didn't go on tour last year, but your Japanese roommates did. And I'm sure that came up when you were talking to them, I hope. They saw a lot of cool things. They saw New York City. They saw Washington, D.C. You guys are going to kind of do the same thing mirrored in Japan. You're going to be going to a lot of new places. And most American students aren't familiar with the inner workings of Japanese culture or geography or a lot of the things we're going to be seeing. So to make all the places we visit not just exciting but also a little more meaningful, we want you guys to do a little research beforehand on specific topics and then put together an article about one page that you present to the whole group while we're on tour. So as you can see there, we have a list. It's just alphabetical, so every student's been assigned 1 to 2 articles to prepare. And those are going to be due by June 21st. All your deadlines for HSD, you'll notice, are on Tuesdays. There's one starting on, I think, the 14th, and then every Tuesday after that you'll have either a presentation topic deadline or the tour education research. So kind of keep those Tuesdays in mind as you're preparing. I know some of you guys are still finishing up school. Ben doesn't know when his ends, but at some point, you guys will have a lot more free time. So put some time into this. It's exciting. It'll make tour that much better.
Yeah. So if you just flip over to the next 2 pages, these are model examples. And so you really just want to give your peers a context. You don't have to fill up the entire page with paragraphs, single space. You do want to put in some pictures and kind of explain some highlights of the area we're going to, things to look out for. So just make it as informative but clear as possible.